We are honored to once again be joined by United States Congresswoman Bonnie Watson Coleman. Congresswoman, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's good to see you.
Good to see you. Congresswoman, we have a series we're doing in cooperation with Kean University. You know their institute, the John S. Watson Urban Research and Policy and Research Institute. Urban Matters, it's called. You'll see the graphic up there. The most pressing urban issue or issues that we should be focused on, not just in New Jersey, but the nation, include?
Disparities on all levels, whether it's the income gap, the accessibility, the health gap, the safety and security in your communities, the mental health issues, the wealth gap, all of those things. That's what's driving, I believe, the work that I want to do. And that certainly drives the John S. Watson Institute. And so I'm so delighted that that institute is located under this amazing president up at Kean University, because he gets it. He gets about the interconnectability of all those sort of social dynamics and economic dynamics and a healthy economy in general. And so that's what I think.
Yeah, you're talking about Dr. Lamont Repollet, the former head of the Department of Education in the state, now the president of Kean University. We'll be talking to him about these issues as well. But Congressman, let me be more precise and specific with you in terms of some urban matters. Let's talk about environmental justice. What does it mean, first of all, and what is the role of the United States Congress in terms of dealing with addressing this environmental injustice?
So let me just say that I'm so glad that Joe Biden is the president right now, because he kind of gets the whole environmental existential threat to all of us, whether or not we're in the rich communities or the poor communities. But in the poor, lower income communities, it's extremely important that we recognize what's happening with climate change. The heat index has been so high. The health reaction to those heat indexes that made people really sick. We've had unnecessary deaths because of them. So we need to look at what does it mean to create a safer and healthier environment, free of so much pollution, free of all of the sort of heat that comes from the lack of trees and things of that nature. The water issue, just being able to have a cooling center in the summer and a heating capacity in the winter, looking at what is happening among the poorest of us and trying to remediate and eliminate those barriers. Because if we, from a policy perspective, look low so that we can go broad and go high, then we will end up making things better for everybody. You and I both know if you deal with the least among us, you're doing the right work.
Doing the right work. And speaking of the right work, if you listen to us on the audio side, we're speaking with the United States Representative Bonnie Watson Coleman. But real quick, Congresswoman, could you tell us exactly what committees you're serving on right now so people can have perspective? We'll put up your website as well so people can find out more.
I'm on Homeland Security, and I'm on the Appropriations Committee, and I'm the only New Jerseyan in both the Senate and the House of Representatives on the Appropriations Committee. And I am on the subcommittees, labor, health, and other agencies, and transportation, housing, and urban development, and the interior. That's on the Appropriations Committee.
You think that's enough?
Sometimes I think it's too much, because I'm also a subcommittee chair under Homeland Security on maritime security issues. So.
Yeah, you forgot to add that. By the way, the Congresswoman will be joining us. We're doing a special on our other series, Remember Them, that is dedicated to her father, John S. Watson, who I was honored to serve in the state legislature with. He was a leader in the legislature, a leader in our state and our nation. That is on Remember Them. Check out the Congresswoman there. Representative Bonnie Watson Coleman, I want to follow up on a childcare issue, because we have another series. We have a lot of mini-series, and this one is about reimagining childcare. What needs to be reimagined regarding childcare, and what is the role of the federal government in that regard?
Number one is the child tax credit, which took 43% of the children out of poverty immediately. Very modest investment on a monthly basis so the families could use it in order to take care of their children. something we're still fighting for. It was in the American Rescue Plan. We weren't able to get it. Republicans have not been very helpful with us on the issues of this nature. Secondly, it is making sure that there's early child care, that the child care is both substantive and safe and secure and affordable. So supplementing that from a resource perspective wherever we can. And then making sure that mothers have access to good jobs so that they can, and fathers as well, they can take care of their families, and making sure that the education system is safe and secure and delivers a kind of education that takes care of our children and prepares them to be our future. Because, you know, as vibrant as we might be right now, Steve, it ain't gonna be that way forever. And so we need to recognize that it's resource-based. And when we found that we place these resources in the hands of families, they use that money for good things, for taking care of their children, for getting their children preschool care, for making sure that they had the clothing, the food, etc. And so I also support this issue of a guaranteed income, which elevates the family and makes sure that no family is allowed to fall below a certain floor level in this very wealthy country. And it's all about preparing and protecting and preserving the future of our society.
There are some listening right now, watching right now, are going to say, wait a minute, isn't that, I'll use the S word, socialism? Yeah, go address that, because, go ahead.
So I don't know, I don't want to put a label on it. I think it is a fair realization of the way you eliminate poverty in this country is to make sure that people have the financial resources they need to be able to purchase the things, whether it's shelter, food, transportation, education, whatever. It's as simple as that.
Childcare.
So childcare, absolutely. So when we think of giving to the very, very poor and the social and economically vulnerable, you know, we got a lot to say about it. When we think about the tax credits and the tax loopholes that go to the very, very, very wealthy, we think that's, you know, good policy. So why does that sort of a grace evolve to the very, very wealthy and is looked at as healthy policy? But when it comes to the very, very poor who need those specific resources, and it's been demonstrated that they use those resources to support and protect their families and educate and care for their children, why are we having to label these things as things that sort of foment a divisiveness in our country?
Congresswoman, we have about a minute left. I want to ask you this. You joined us right after January 6th. You were directly impacted, affected by that. You shared your experience with us and with many others in the media across the state, across this region and nation. This isn't a political program. We don't cover elections per se, but we're taping on the 20th of September. What is at stake in this election, A, and B, what does that have to do with the future of democracy? In your view, got a minute left. Sorry to load you up like that with that question.
That's all right. Democracy is in peril here. We see what's happening on the other side. I know this is not, you know, Republicans versus Democrats, but Donald Trump et al. Have made this an issue of a contrast that says, do you support democracy? Do you support equality of opportunity? Do you support the rule of law? Or do you support autocracy and greed and corruption? So I am telling you that what's on the ballot is what you can teach your children at school, whether or not libraries are going to have the books that they need, whether or not women are going to have access to the freedom of their healthcare decisions, whether or not there's going to be environmental justice investments into communities, whether or not there's going to be serious climate change recognition and investments for the whole country and the whole world, and whether or not we're going to lower the cost for healthcare, whether or not we're going to make sure people who need insulin get that at a price that they can afford, and making sure that seniors are capped at a certain level at $2,000. We're trying to lower costs. We're trying to lower costs, expand opportunities, expand protections, and make sure that everybody has a stake in this great nation. And that is on the ballot.
This will be seen before and potentially after that November election, but the stakes are still the same as the Congresswoman described it, also to make sure everyone understands that we, on Think Tank and other programs, will make sure we have different perspectives, different points of view, who may frame the issue differently than the Congresswoman just did. Congresswoman Bonnie Watson Coleman, I cannot thank you enough for joining us. We appreciate it. All the best to you and your family.
Thank you.
You got it. I'm Steve Adubato. That is the Congresswoman. We'll see you next time.
Think Tank with Steve Adubato has been a production of the Caucus Educational Corporation. Funding has been provided by Kane University, the Turrell Fund, supporting Reimagine Childcare, Delta Dental of New Jersey, Valley Bank, NJM Insurance Group, the Fidelco Group, New Jersey Sharing Network, Johnson & Johnson, and by Prudential Financial. Promotional support provided by bestofnj.com and by Insider NJ.
NJM Insurance Company has been serving New Jersey policyholders for more than 100 years. But just who are NJM's policyholders? They're the men and women who teach our children, the public sector employees who maintain our infrastructure, the workers who craft our manufactured goods, and New Jersey's next generation of leaders, the people who make our state a great place to call home. NJM, we've got New Jersey covered.